Hello guys, welcome back, and we're gonna continue for our math method learning. So today we try to cover all the remaining of chapter 4, and for next video we can move on to chapter 5, which is another really important topic like exponential and logarithm, right? So let's just do it. And for today, the first one I want to cover is determine the rule for the graph of a polynomial. So this is pretty straightforward, and I think everyone is really familiar with this one. So sometimes they just give you some like equations, and with some certain unknowns, then just give you some points. You just plug in the point and find the unknowns, then done all the job, right? So for this one, like example 32 over here, page 190, sometimes they just give you unknowns, one unknown or two unknowns, right? Just plug the points in to get the A and B values. Okay, it's pretty straightforward, and we don't need really talk about much about this. And as for this one, okay, for the cubic functions, we have A, B, C, and D, and we got 4 points. And each of them just plug in to the corresponding positions to get all of them. Then we just need to solve the simultaneously linear equations, right? Which is covered in chapter 2, our previous videos. Okay, you always can refer it back. Another thing is just make sure you know how to use CAS to help you calculate or help you do the simultaneous equations calculation, because it is quite essential for you to use if these types of problems occur in exam 2, okay, which allow you use CAS and it's a tag active, okay. Over here, okay, let me show you guys this. And for this one, the graph showing that cubic functions, okay, and find the rule for the cubic functions, which means you have to be really familiar with the cubic functions graph, okay. And from the graph, we know here, -3, 1, and 4 are the 3 intercepts, right? So we can directly write our form like this one. Then we just plug one number 0, 4 in, done, everything. You do need really do y equals ax cubed plus bx squared plus cx plus d, which is tedious and increase a lot of like calculation things. So my suggestion is doing this, okay? And for this one, again, make sure, because this one it looks like problem, so our graph should be like a times x plus 3 square and x minus 1 over here, okay? This is our function. This is what I said, you know, for the last video. That is the important part, repeated factor, because they are the square or they are the problem shape over -3. So we always need to remember it's x plus 3 squared over here. Okay, let's look at the answer. Yeah, same thing. Okay, but in this case they use k, but whatever number you like to use, it's the same thing. C x plus 3 repeated factor. Okay, and 36, same thing. Okay, just 4 numbers, sorry, 4 points or coordinates, just plug in, done. And this is the 4G. This is pretty straightforward, and you have to do the calculations and to be familiar with everything, then you can get the idea, okay? 4H is quite essential because, again, it involves with literal. Okay, this is sometimes it's a nightmare for, I mean, students, even for me, because again, personally, I still really like dealing with real numbers like 1, like 2, like 10, something like that, but I don't like K and A because they are so mysterious and it's hard to distinguish, even for me, okay? But in this case, we have to make sure what we want. So for example, example 37, what we want or what we want to find or want to solve is x. So technically speaking, except for x, rest of the letters or the literal things, just arbitrary constants. Okay, just the random numbers. I don't know. It's like a 1, like a pi, like the square root 2. I don't know. It's just random numbers. So that's why we can solve for x in terms of them. So every time you give me one key value, I can give you x. Okay, something like that. So for the parabola, we need to find A and B and C, right? A is 1, B is K, C is K, okay? Then we plug in the number and, plug in the formula to get the overall ideas, okay? And in here, this one is a bit tricky because you have to recognize you can take X first. This step is easy, but from the second step to the third step, it becomes like the crazy part because this factorizing or cross product involved with A. So it's pretty tricky. And if you cannot really do it, just use, again, formula to help you to get the same, right? Same thing. And let's move on over here. Solve each following equation for x. So you must write x equals something, something, something in terms of A, in terms of A, B, and C, in terms of other things, even C and D. Okay, so again, for 37 and 38, we have to know which one is unknown and which one is arbitrary constant. This part is extremely important for the SAC and for final exams because everyone know it's relatively easy for everyone to get the number correct, but once with the literal one with some like A, B, and C, then it just sometimes confuse people, okay? And look at this one, simultaneous equations. Pretty familiar, huh? Because in chapter 2, we also talk about simultaneous equations, but in chapter 2, we only strict in linear equations, right? Parallel, intersect, and collinear. But now we actually focusing on different types of graph and what the intersection looks like. So for example, the linear function with like a parabola, which is demonstrated in example 39 over here, okay? And just do the calculations. And again, 40 and 41, 40 is combined with circle and straight line. 41 is combined with straight line and hyperbola. Sorry, rectangular hyperbola, right? So this is all the things we need, and you have to make sure you combine or mix the function B together to solve for one unknown per time. Then plug this number back to get the Y value, okay? That is pretty much about 4H. And let's look at the chapter summary. Okay, for this one, it's quite organized. First, it tells us about the importance of quadratic polynomials, right? Which means x to the power of square or x to the power of 2. The formulas, the symmetry of x-axis, the turning point form, complete square, every sort of thing, delta, you know, to know the relationship with graphs and functions. Okay. And the next one is polynomial in general. So, and we focus on the sort of like cubic and quartic, right? The most important one, the cubic, because we use cubic function to develop our sort of theorems, such as factor theorems, remainder theorems, and rational root theorems, right? And again, they will ask us to draw or sketch the cubic functions by hand, but we just make sure we need to change to the factors, multiply each other first, then we can do it properly. And for the quartic one, it's not that important, but still doable. And for some general shape, you need to remember it looks like this, right? So make sure you know the general shape for cubic and quartic. And the last but not least is what we covered today, like simultaneous equations. Now we extend our domain, maybe. Let's put it in this way. We not really restrict into the linear functions. We can combine with linear functions with quadratic one, or even with quartic one, or even with the circle, or even with like the rectangular hyperbola, anything. So, but not for every time they're gonna have solutions, but most of the time they ask us to find the intersection. Just make sure you know how to do it, and make sure you know how to tap them into CAS. Ask CAS to do the job properly. Okay, that's for today's video, and the next one we will continue to do chapter 5 and to help you guys learn exponential and logarithm. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. If you like my video, just click the like button and subscribe, and I see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.